with me on this topic to unfollow me immediately. I'm not going to argue with you. I think you're fucking stupid. I think you're an idiot. So just take this into consideration. Don't even bother arguing. I want anybody that disagrees with me on this topic to unfollow me immediately. I'm not going to argue with you. I think you're fucking stupid. I think you're an idiot. So just take this into consideration. Don't even bother arguing with me. I will block you so quick. I will block you. I will report you. I will do whatever I need to do to get rid of you because I don't agree with you. And I want you to understand right now that I have no time for people as dumb as you on my timeline, in my mentions, in my following, anything. Just go. Respectfully go. Okay? I want to start off by saying that I completely disagree with how far they're taking this non-binary thing. So I understand that there are people out there that want to transition and they don't feel comfortable in their own skin and they want to be either a woman or they want to be a man and they were born in the wrong body. They don't feel like themselves. I completely get it. This has been going on for years and years and years and years and years. But now there's people that want to identify as absolutely fucking nothing, and that makes zero sense to me. I think that once everything became socially accepted, which is great, I think that we as a society should continue to transform into a more accepting community so people can feel loved and wanted and hate crimes stop. And, I think that, all that peace, love should come to fruition and be a thing, okay? I completely agree with it. However, I would like to point out the other fractions of our society and our community of people who don't follow that side and who are not part of that side and who don't want to identify as anything but who they are and whatever, okay? So let's consider these people also, because they are now changing bathrooms into co-ed bathrooms in starting elementary schools. Do you honestly think that children are mature enough to handle co-ed bathrooms? I mean, little girls are starting their periods in elementary school. It's middle school, it could also be elementary school. And do you honestly think that children are going to be able to handle something like that? Where, let's say, your daughter is in the bathroom and she's changing her pad, or she's doing something very private in the bathroom, and a little boy comes in because he's allowed to, and he starts harassing her, showing him her penis, or staring at her, or making fun of her. Other boys come in and barricade the poor little girl in the bathroom. Or it can go both ways. What if a bunch of girls were doing that to your son, and your son is trying to use the bathroom or the urinal or whatever, and because it's co-ed, the little girls are laughing and making fun of his parts? And how is that logical? How does the political party think about these things and think that this is going to work out just to cater to the trans community, when there are people out there, children out there, that don't feel this way and don't see it? And then to reference the article I just posted, what if a mother was in that spa with her daughter, and because this grown man who has his penis, has all his parts, looks like a man, has a hairy chest, has everything that looks like a man, but wants to identify as a woman, how do you know he's not a predator or a pedophile or a registered sex offender, and he goes in there and abuses that power to the non-binary law and goes in there just to show off his parts to make other women feel uncomfortable, or other people feel uncomfortable, or just to sexually harass people? How is this honestly becoming a thing, and it's becoming legal? What if a mother was in there with her little girl? What if you were in there with your daughter? And also, it's become a law that parents will go to prison or jail or whatever if they deny their child of genetic blockers, the injections. So children are basically wanting to transition at an early age because they don't want to have to do it at a later age. So you're allowing a child at the earliest age of 4 years old to make a very, very life-transforming, very irreversible decision. At 4 years old, at 5 years old, at 6 years old, at 7 years old, have you ever met a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old? Have you ever talked to them, had a conversation with them, realized how underdeveloped and how behind on life they are, how they just don't know? They're children, they're kids, they don't know shit, and you're gonna allow them to make a decision like this? And parents are getting in trouble over this. They're being thrown in jail over this shit for not allowing their child to make a decision like that, because their child may actually feel that way, or it could go both ways, where the child has been manipulated into thinking that's what they want because everybody's doing it now. Everybody in school is doing it, and teachers are now informing their students that it's okay to feel different if this is how you feel, and then they encourage them to look into it and talk about it and be what they want to be or what they think they want to be. Because there are children that probably actually don't feel that way, and they're being confused into the whole idea of being trans. And that's why it's important to wait till you're old enough to understand if this is something that you really want, and then make the decision. But children, fuck no, dude. That's where I draw the fucking line. I just think that it's fucked up that we are confusing non-trans children into thinking or considering that they might be trans when they're not. There should be boundaries and parameters and certain networks and communities for children that want to transition, instead of keeping it publicly out of schools where there are tons of kids and tons of people out there that don't want to be trans and don't want to be non-binary, and we don't want to identify as anything but ourselves. And I think it's very important to have those lines drawn for the sake of the kids. I don't know, am I fucking wrong for thinking this? And the fact that the leftist community is so fucking psychotic. The leftist party is so fucking psychotic about their beliefs and what they stand for, that when anybody has anything to say opposing what they believe, they lose their fucking minds. However, there are other parties, there's all the other different political parties that believe what they want to believe, and we don't say shit. If you don't like what we have to say, fine, whatever, go on with your bad self, believe what you want to believe. But then the leftists have to fucking lose it. They have to come in guns a-blazing, fucking losing their minds over people that don't believe in what they have to say. And it's just they get so fucking offended by everything. Calm the fuck down, dude. This is a free country, and freedom of speech is a fucking thing, and we're gonna believe whatever the fuck we're gonna want to believe, and there's gonna be people that are gonna go against what you have to say. Get the fuck over yourself. And one more thing, can I just point out the fact that the whole non-binary thing only became a thing once it became a trend. Once it became a trend, and once it became a cool thing to do, and everybody wanted to fucking fit in, and they wanted to be like everybody else, you wanted to be a bunch of fucking sheep, that's when everyone started identifying as non-binary. That's what I've noticed, at least. There are girls in my industry that were completely normal, straight as a fucking arrow, loved dick, loved men, loved being a woman, whatever, and everything was amazing. And as soon as the non-binary thing came out, they all of a sudden wanted to cut all their hair off and identify as non-binary. I'm okay, so is this because you want to do this? Is this because that's genuinely how you fucking feel, or because you were sheeped into it? You just want to be a sheep, you want to be a follower, and you don't want to have your own. I just think that the world has completely fucked off, and I think that everybody has lost their minds, and I'm either going to move to Texas, or my children will be going to all Catholic schools. That's the way I see it now. I'm okay, great. And then there's the whole, like, removing certain words out of, like, terms and vocabulary to make the trans community feel more, like, accepted. Like, come the fuck on, dude. Like, a girlfriend of mine just hit me up and she said that at work they stopped using the word manhole and they have to start referring to it as the access hole because it makes, you know, non-binary people feel very uncomfortable and makes them feel unaccepted to society when we use words that reference a man or words that reference a woman. And they're just basic fucking words. And then also removing certain books out of, like, children's reading books and certain shows that are getting canceled. And I want to touch on another thing. So also, let's point out the fact that there are the bandwagoners. These are really the people that I'm addressing in this post. I'm really just talking about the people that don't actually believe in this stuff and they actually don't see it this way, and they're trying to paint the perspective for themselves so they can fit in with the trans community when there are people that are falsely identifying as non-binary or false trying to feel accepted into society. And now that it's becoming socially acceptable, now there's people jumping on the bandwagon, and trans people are like really trying to identify as part of the trans community so they can make the trans community feel more accepted or loved or wanted, which is fine. However, you are insulting the trans community who has spent years and years of torment of. So, like, if I spent years and years struggling with something and society pushed me away and rejected me because of it, and then all of a sudden it became popular and socially acceptable to welcome it into communities, and then all of a sudden other people are now doing it and feeling like they can just feel free to do it, to jump on the bandwagon because it's the popular thing to do now, I would be so fucking livid. Also, like, in that aspect, like, I would be so pissed because I had to go through all these years of torment and depression and suicidal ideations and torture from people just for it to be so easy for people to wear it like it's a fucking fashion statement. That would piss me the fuck off. That would piss me off so